Hey DF, exclamation point. I was recently going through your older videos and I came across Alex's video, 13 ways to end lousy PC ports. In the thumbnail, Alex's eyes are so full of hope for the future. I don't think they were. Anyway,
I don't know.
because you were very unhappy. Anyway, so I wanted to check in with how that's going. Obviously, there's always bad ports, but are they better, worse? Have any of your recommendations been implemented? Cheers! Exclamation point. P.S. Is Life of Black Tiger still the worst game on PS4? Well, that's another matter entirely. But Alex, 13 ways to end lousy PC ports.
From my perspective, since that video released, there have been some changes in PC ports that I've seen, just like general average impressions from the games that I've reviewed. But they may or may not have anything to do with the fact that that video came out. Though I do know people have, just from getting DMs behind the scene, people have referenced that video in production processes for PC ports of games, which is always great to see, because I think I was touching on like the nerve of a lot of things that PC gamers expect in games, which is good. But one thing that I did notice since that video came out that happens more is that games are now shipping not just with one of the upscalers. There was a long time where, for example, like every FSR 2 game almost didn't have DLSS. There was also a number of DLSS released games where FSR 2 was not at all ever considered. And I thought that was really dumb. And that has seemed to have gone by the wayside for the most part, whether that's through, I don't know, just devs thinking they should provide options for multiple users, or there's something else on a technical level.
There's the whole Starfield debacle.
Starfield really did change things, yeah, because that launching in the position that it did with FSR 2 and the image quality considerations that had at the time, along with the NVIDIA performance, that was just like, yeah, I think that changed a lot. I would also say I've seen a lot, like just recently looking at Senua's Sacrifice. What's the name of the second one? Hellblade 2. Saga. Hellblade 2, that had a menu that I did not expect to see for a cinematic third-person game that is really focusing on like the console release, 30 FPS performance, etc. It had a great PC menu that I don't know if in the time before that video came out, if anyone would have cared. And also less broken things. Since then, I would say I don't think anything's released like The Last of Us Part 1 to the same degree, or Jedi Survivors, classic example now, but I don't think I've felt that way about a game at release for a while now. So yeah, I think things have gotten better, but that may just be happenstance even.
Right. I'm just looking over the points that you made, Alex, and let's go through them one by one. Eliminate shader compilation stutter. I think the whole stutter struggle thing has actually taken off. There is been a reaction to it. People are asking that this shader compilation step happens. I think there's been positive progress there, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I'd say it's improved by a good amount. There are less just Unreal Engine releases these days where they'll just ship it as is and just say, just take it. Usually there's enough user feedback and enough time that Epic have gone back in and changed things about UE5 to make it better in this regard.
Visually responsive graphical options, which is basically interactive graphics menus. I'd say that's still work in progress, but there has been some movement. I mean, you pointed out Hellblade 2 there, which I thought was really great, actually.
Right.
The way you could get CPU and GPU cost for any setting in any location in the game, I thought that was epic.
That's great.
Really good.
Love to see that more games.
Your third point includes sensible convention-driven menu navigation. Mostly okay, I think, but there are still some weirdness.
Yeah, Capcom still doesn't do it right. They didn't change it. I think that was one of my complaints for Dragon's Dogma 2, where I was really focusing on Capcom there because and also it was in Jedi Survivor where you had to like back out of the menu using one or the other device, and there wasn't a rhyme or reason for it. And I still think that developers could improve on that in general. It's not in every game. I don't understand if people are actually navigating the menus in development with mouse and keyboard sometimes. Some games don't feel like it at all, actually.
Right. Yeah. Overly nested menus, man, that wasn't great in the Callisto protocol, was it?
No, it's really bad there. That's a bit better. I've seen some regression though. In Nixie's most recent port of Ghost of Tsushima, I find the menu there is not as good as it is in like Ratchet and Clank, but I think some of that may have to do with the fact that on a per game basis, they have a certain UI that the game already uses, and stylistically they have to keep with it. And the original UI for Ghost of Tsushima was this nested scheme that they couldn't really do too much about there. But in general, I would say that was a more rare critique. Most games do it okay enough.
Okay, the next one, which I don't think there's been much progress on, is essentially being able to isolate differences in resolution. You know, obviously that's a standard, but also refresh rate of monitors, which isn't.
Yeah, no, I don't think there hasn't been much movement here. Most games do not allow you to choose the refresh rate alongside your.
Yeah, it's typically just the it's set to what the desktop's set at.
Yeah, and it doesn't need to be, as we've talked about before, but this is just the way things work.
Okay. Field of view option.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of. I guess it depends on the game. Some games have started including it where I didn't expect it. But for the most part, this is one that still is not always guaranteed to be there. And I do make fun of the trailers that say things like, we support high FPS, but I think if you're going to release a PC trailer, it's nice to show off that you have variable FOV.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff here. We could be here all afternoon. I'm just looking at some of them.
Yeah, some of them are doozies.
But yeah, there's some where, as you say, there have been some really good improvements. The whole upscaling thing, definitely, for sure. Something else which I don't think has happened, console equivalent settings as an option. I think organically high has just kind of migrated into very close to console equivalents in many, many cases, mind you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
HDR, still a bit of a mess, isn't it?
Yeah, some games are not shipping with it. Some games are shipping with it broken. I think, this is also a Windows issue. It's also a panel issue. There's competing standards for everything, and it just doesn't help the situation.
Yeah. Half, third, and quarter rate VSync.
That's more common.
More common, yeah. Multiple quality levels for heavy effects. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I was really focusing there on ray tracing, and some games still, like Cyberpunk, for example, they didn't expose any of the scalability for the new path tracing setting, and I found that to be a mistake.
Hence the mod.
To
reduce the amount of ray bounces, or indeed increase them.
Mm-hmm.
John, what do you make of all of this? Because you've kind of migrated more towards PC gaming of late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do feel like maybe this has made a difference, and that a lot of PC games launching now, I feel, are generally the chance of them being okay seems improved compared to like a year ago somehow. Like you mentioned, Alex, like we haven't had another Jedi Survivor for a while, I feel.
Yes.
Right.
But obviously there's still some concerns to keep in mind.
Well, they've still yet to finish the Jedi trilogy.
Oh, we'll see what happens there.
I hope for good things from the last game, at least.
Overall, I feel, but I've also been playing a lot of like non-high-end PC games as well. So
yeah,
and can confirm that space is pretty good. And a lot of them work really well on Steam Deck. So,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I think this is always going to be a work in progress, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, it sounds like we're making progress, though, which is great. And that, things have changed. But, I'm looking through some of these things and I think there's still room for improvement, right?